talk after the football game.
Yeah, we got a football game in an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome to the City of Manistee Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, September 7th, 2023. Time now 7:01. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Here.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Here.
Commissioner Weiner,
Here.
Commissioner Berto, Commissioner McBride,
Here.
Commissioner Yoder,
Here, thank
Chair
you.
Whitliff.
Here. Thank you. Approval of agenda. At this time, the Planning Commission can, excuse me, take action to approve the September 7th, 2023 agenda.
And
Is there a
Chair,
motion?
if I may, I would like to amend the agenda. We have Willie McKenzie here for, he has a proposal coming forward in the future for a potential housing development, and he would like to do a preliminary presentation for you guys and canvass the commission. I was thinking that we could put him in after my presentation, since there will be no action taken.
Okay.
All right.
You think so, eh? What do you think, Mark? Should we let her amend it or not?
Well,
Or no?
Yeah.
good girl, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Just this once.
Accept the
Okay.
amended.
Is there a motion to accept the amended?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
There you go.
Motion by Roger, second by Bob. Discussion? None? Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski. Yes. Commissioner Weiner,
Yeah.
Commissioner McBride, Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Commissioner Yoder,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you. Now we go to the approval of the agenda.
Conflict.
That was it.
No, that was it?
Just did the agenda, yeah.
That was it.
To the agenda?
Never mind. Conflict of interest. If there's any member of the planning commission that has any type of conflict in tonight's agenda? None? Okay. Approval of minutes. At this time, the planning commission can approve the August 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mick, second
Second.
by Bob. Discussion? None? Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride, Commissioner Yoder,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you. Correspondence? Is there any correspondence tonight?
None.
None? Thank you.
Done? Jeez.
Presentation, Manistee County Planning Department, 5-year contract review.
Yes, so I wanted to take this time to kind of cover the last 5 years with you guys. I will also be presenting this to City Council. The department recognizes that typically we do our annual review for City Council, but with the 5-year contract expiring, we felt this was a good time to really take a look back at the past 5 years and everything that the planning department has accomplished, you know, in conjunction with you guys especially, but with the City of Manistee.
You're gonna read to us what you did for 5 years?
Yeah, I'm gonna
We believe
breeze
you,
through it,
Katie.
though.
We believe you. I don't want me.
You got the cliff notes.
Yes, so the department took on the zoning service contract in October of 2018
Okay.
under a 5-year contract, and throughout that, I think that we've had some really successful collaboration with county and city staff, and we've seen a lot of development in the city, which has been a huge benefit to not only the city, but the entirety of the county. And this presentation will highlight the performance of our department and all that we've accomplished under this 5-year zoning contract.
Okay.
So first, I just wanted to introduce everyone in a picture. So we have everyone who's currently employed by the department. Jess Sorensen, our receptionist. We have Mike, Nancy, myself, and Jody, our other planner.
Didn't you hire a new girl? One of the,
Yep, that's Jody, all the way on the right.
that's Jody?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So something that we kind of called value-added services. These are items, I'm going to go through some items that weren't necessarily covered by the contract or may have been things that the county did for a fee in addition to the contract. You know, on face value, everyone sees the permits issued out of our office, but might not have a full picture of everything that we do that doesn't directly involve the zoning ordinance. So we'll dive into that. And these are some of the additional services that we undertook during the contract. Zoning quicks, we call them, are, little guides for residents and developers to more easily understand the zoning ordinance. We've developed some forms. We maintained the RRC certification. In 2019, there was a harbor plan that was updated by the department. You guys worked very hard on the short-term rental ordinance, so I feel like that's important to highlight. We did some large-scale enforcement and organized some training opportunities, specifically the recent ZBA training with Mary Riley through MSU Extension that was at no cost to the city, and we were even able to bring in all other local units of government throughout the county. And then just diving in a little deeper to some of those items, just some examples. We have some fence examples for decorative fences that we had put together. Zach Samples had done a boundary adjustment application, noting that there wasn't really a process or form for that type of request. This is a screenshot of the reporting site for RRC called Trello. And those are all different tasks that are required to be fulfilled. And they even got some scroll bars in here, so they keep going. A lot of it is annual reporting, but some of it is, updating the zoning ordinance for best practices. Like I'm sure you guys remember the upper and lower story dwelling units. That was part of the RRC certification. So this just gives kind of an idea of what the RRC certification entails. Here's a couple screenshots of the harbor plan that Kyle Story updated in 2019 for the city. Some of those screenshots of large-scale enforcement for dumpsters. So you can see that this had started in August of 2020 and ended last summer. And so that was an example of something that was a pretty big undertaking for the department, and started with Mike as the zoning administrator, but ended with myself, and the department was able to, bring that all the way to fruition with that enforcement.
Katie, if I
Yes.
could, who started actually covering the dumpsters like this?
It was when Mike was under,
But did he come up with the idea, or did somebody complain about it?
No, that was a directive that came from city council.
Okay, okay, all right, yeah, that's a good idea. They look
Yeah.
good.
If I could, it was actually an ordinance that had been in existence for
Right.
many years, and city council got complaints from some neighbors of one of the more questionable
Yeah.
dumpster areas in town.
Yes, and that, with that being a regulatory function within the zoning ordinance, it wasn't that people could just say, well, I'm grandfathered with my dumpster,
Yeah.
It was something that they could
Yeah.
address and should address.
It looks a lot better, with the gates and everything. I do have to say, but.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, definitely. So this slide is like what I like to call behind the scenes. You guys are used to seeing my face as the representation of the department, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well. Jessica, our receptionist, organized nearly 100 special use permit files that were all the historic special use permits for the city, all the hard copies. And she created a cover page that acts as a table of contents, and then separated everything by permit, site plans, correspondence, meeting minutes, and miscellaneous items. Previously, those were all just kind of, they were in their individual files,
together.
but not necessarily organized. So that was something that she worked on for, several months, if not over a year, as time allowed. I wanted to highlight all the hard work that Nancy does with coordinating our meeting agenda packets and all the communications with you guys, as well as taking minutes and setting notices, because that is, a part that you don't think about, but it is a time-consuming and, decently large portion of administering these meetings. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight the institutional knowledge that our department has maintained. Although we've seen some staff turnover internally, I like to think that, those transitions were seamless, and it was something that, we all relied on each other to make sure that we maintained a nice, smooth transition within the department whenever that occurred. Going into a yearly review, so I'll just kind of go through this and highlight certain things. It's a lot of data, but I wanted to break things out year by year for your guys' review, and then ultimately, if anyone wanted to look back on this in the future, I think it's a good resource. So in 2018, there were 25 land use permits issued, 8 certificates of appropriateness, and 9 signs. And we took over in October, so really only 3 land use permits, 1 certificate of appropriateness, and 1 sign was issued by the department. And with that, there wasn't a lot else that had gone on in 2018. It was really the planning department getting used to the zoning ordinance and getting used to that zoning administration. Rob was in the department at that time, and in early 2019 is when we brought on Kyle and Mike to assist with the additional workload with not only the city zoning service contract, but the additional service contracts that the department had been taking on. 2019, we see a fairly large increase in permits issued with 47 land use, 7 certificates of appropriateness, and 16 signs. And 16 of those land use permits were special use permits. So that was a huge year for you guys. Of those 16 special use permits, 12 were marijuana developments. And of those 12 marijuana developments that were approved, we ended up with 5 retail establishments in operation. I think the marijuana opening up in the city, it not only brought in new businesses, but it also revitalized the whole area, and that was due to the hard work that you guys did as well. So I think that was only good things for the city. It was a big year, 2019, with all those permits. And then we had 10 business registrations signed in 2019. So the planning department would have, touched on or issued a permit or worked with all of these businesses. And I will say that these could be businesses relocating as well, so it doesn't always necessarily mean new businesses. And then we have a zoning ordinance amendments. I'm not really gonna get into these, but if you guys have any questions on them, I'd be happy to talk about them.
No.
Moving into 2020, we had 39 land use permits issued, 7 certificates of appropriateness, and 10 signs. 4 of the 39 land use permits were special use permits. 9 business registrations signed in 2020. And I did want to note that we didn't have any zoning amendments in 2020, but that was due to COVID. Things were really slowed down, shut down. And then moving on to 2021, we had 29 land use permits, 16 COAs, and 17 signs. 7 of the 29 land use permits were special use permits, which is a pretty significant portion when you see only 29 land use permits. And we had 21 business registrations signed in 2021, which is awesome. And I feel like it kind of speaks to how COVID, everything was shut down, and then people were really ready to go. People were moving around. And also with the zoning amendments that we had, kind of speaks to that there were no zoning amendments in 2020. The list gets a little bit longer here in 2021.
If I could, Katie, so you're saying if a business comes into town, they have to get a business registration through you?
It's through the clerk, but there is a line on it for the fire marshal to sign off and then zoning to sign off as well, to ensure that the new business is meeting all requirements of those 2 departments.
So are we aware of the Bumblebee Restaurant on 31? That's across from the Yellow State Police Post?
At the old Mexican restaurant?
Yeah.
Yes, she came in. I signed her business registration.
Is that right?
Yep.
That
That one didn't really need a whole lot of approvals because it wasn't a change of use.
No.
So it's just, I say, yep, you're a restaurant, you're good to go.
You're a restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah, I see, so did that open recently? I wasn't aware.
I don't know if they're open yet, but they
Oh.
did go through all their approvals, so.
Okay.
They had a soft opening Monday.
They opened?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
Breakfast.
people have been having breakfast there already.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, and one thing I did want to highlight through 2020 as well is that, the department was shut down to an extent, but still functioned at a very high capacity. They still got things done. They still got permits issued, and the hotel was coming through at that time. So I really commend the guys that were in the department at that time, because that was a huge undertaking, and to bring that to the finish line in early 2021 after that year is, I think, pretty remarkable.
Well, I think your planning department did a hell of a job that year.
Yeah, they did.
And
I wasn't there yet,
Kudos to you,
but-
Katie, for reading all those letters.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that our
oh my gosh.
meeting?
Everyone knew I was not from here when I could not pronounce all the Polish last names. I'm like, dead giveaway. Here we go.
Will not be reading the names now.
Moving on to 2022, we had 53 lane use permits issued, 17 COAs, and 17 signs. 5 of the 53 were special use permits. 13 business registrations signed, and a handful of amendments that were passed. Moving on to 2023, this is up through September. And we have 45, well, I guess it's really to September, not through September. We had 45 land use permits issued, 25 COAs, and 15 signs. 5 of the 45 were special use permits. And a few amendments that we've passed this year. 23 business registrations signed so far. So again, it really seems like we're seeing new businesses come in. I think, you know, with the hotel going in and the downtown is just really blowing up. I think that's reflective in the certificates of appropriateness as well, because this number is pretty high.
Yeah, it seems the town's busy.
And finally, I would just like to go over kind of comparing the data year by year. So we can see kind of reflective of what we've been talking about with the COVID drop, but then things picking right back up again. And I also think it's cool and important to know, you know, how many permits have continued to be issued since 2018. There's always been an increase since that time. So in total, the planning department has issued 216 land use permits on behalf of the city. Of those 216 land use permits, 38 were special use permits, 73 COAs, and 76 signs, which brings us to a grand total of 365 permits issued by the planning department under the 5-year contract. And then we had 19 zoning ordinance amendments passed. So I would say, in conclusion, I think that, you know, the department and the city have accomplished a lot together. It's been really cool to see what I've seen in my time, and then honestly, it was cool putting together this presentation and really thinking about and highlighting everything that the whole department has done. So we've really enjoyed working with you guys, and we hope to see the city continue to flourish in the future, you know, in the next 5 years and beyond that. So I thank you guys, and if you have any questions, I'm ready for them.
We thank you, you know, and the department, and hopefully council will, you know, renew that contract.
Marco,
Yes, sir, go
do
ahead.
we have anything to say about that? Bringing in a planner or hiring a planner or?
Not really, no. I talked to Bill and about sitting in on the interviews, and he said, no, you couldn't do it.
Really?
Just same with city council sitting in on some interviews.
What the heck do they know? I mean, geez, almighty, you're the goddamn planning chair.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but
And is that still in the works, or are we gonna, or don't you know that?
he's just back this week, so I haven't heard anything.
Oh.
They had one applicant, and don't know what happened to that. So they reissued the job description again, which I think closed, didn't it, Katie?
I'm honestly not sure.
You didn't bid on it, Katie?
Nope.
I think you and everybody involved you came in to fill very person with very big shoes that had been here for a long time, and you did a remarkable job. And with all the new building and all the different things right on top of all that, I'm really proud of all of you. So I think you did a wonderful job.
Thank you. I will make sure to relay that to the team as well. We appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, you did, Katie, honest to goodness. Yep. For all the changes that they made, yeah, they kind of kept it a level playing field.
Yes. So with that, if you guys don't have any more questions, that's all I had, and we can turn it over to Willie. Him and I have had preliminary discussions on what he is thinking for that site, but I do just want to give the disclaimer that I have not officially reviewed anything, just kind of like with Vidar, this is very preliminary, just trying to get a sense of what the commission would want to see. If you have major oh no's or oh yes, we really like that. And yeah, so I'll turn it over to Willie. And if you have anything you want to show, we can put it up here and it can go on the screen.
I think the only thing so I have a drafter working on some preliminary stuff. She sent me the
Oh, you have your
file.
site. Okay, this is good though, so they know where you're.
Yeah.
So nice to see you guys. I'm Willie McKenzie. I've come before you in different capacity before as ringleader of the marijuana organization, Authentic 231. Part of what I have experienced since we moved here is a housing shortage, and we employ 70 people here in the local community, and people are earning more money. They're rising through the ranks. They're getting better jobs. We're also bringing people into the community, management from out of the area, and we don't have anywhere to put them.
Yeah.
I've had to personally buy 3 houses in the local community to rent to people who have come here and gotten short-term rentals, hoping something opens up, and then get to the end of that short-term rental and I either lose a good employee or I have to help them get a place to live. So I am planning on and have been looking at a project here at 130 Washington, right down the street, to build 22 units, an apartment building. Where I'm at in the process is I have been working with Tracy and Mark on the general idea of the project. I have done the math, and it works out with the cost of the project and the rents that we can afford to charge and have people afford to pay here in the local community. This would be considered workforce housing, so this would be in the 80 to 120% of the median income here in the local community. So this is not low-income housing. These are nice units for professionals trying to keep people in the community who may otherwise move somewhere else to live.
Yeah.
Because there are good jobs here now, right? There are good jobs.
Okay, there's all kinds of jobs.
Yeah, there's all kinds of jobs. There's not enough people, right? And not enough places for people to live.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come before you guys. I'm at a place where I'm about to, start spending money on an architect and kind of going down that route. And so I wanted to come before you guys to see, if you had any knee-jerk reaction to having an apartment building there.
Where might this exactly be? Where is this located? The property?
Right down Maple.
It's on 4th Avenue.
So here's the bridge, and it's Washington, and this is Taylor Street. What does it turn into over here? I can't remember. 4th
Avenue.
So it's 4th and Washington, right on the corner, that vacant lot.
Right where Now Lumber used to be, Roger.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's 4 vacant lots there. It's about 22,000 square feet.
You anticipate building what there?
A 22-unit apartment building.
A 22 unit?
22 unit. 2-story, 22 units.
And this piece of property actually is located in the C3. It travels down a little bit, so he's got a little bit more, opportunity to build out the parcel rather than being in the R2.
Yeah,
Because we have the greater lot area requirements and such that come into play with multifamily. But with being in the C3, I think when we had initially talked, I had said that you could fit, what was it, like 20-something, like 22 units fits. I can't remember the exact number we came up with, but, so it would meet all the requirements of the zoning ordinance for a multifamily dwelling.
So with parking, that would consider parking?
He would have to do parking, but with it being in the C3, it's 100% lot coverage, so lot coverage isn't an issue that would have to be of concern. Yeah.
Well, 22 units, you'd have probably 44 cars, 2 car, 1 car unit. I mean, you gotta have someplace to put them,
Yeah, and that's something I have to work through with Katie.
Yeah.
We need 1 or 1.5 spots per.
1.5, I believe it is.
1.5 spot unit. So
Yeah.
Well, who drives a half a car,
Yeah, well, the problem is, see, we got all these promises for people building units and hotels and stuff and housing develop, but nothing's really happening. Aren't you around, where the hell's that, across the bridge, the Northern Hotel, isn't that just down the street?
Yep, mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna put another 20, 30 units in
Yep, that's this
there.
one.
So what would be a time frame for you? Are you ready to go with this or what?
I'd like to get it done in a year.
In a year, right? I mean, you got the money and the workers and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Willie, can I ask, are these 2 bedrooms that you're looking at? Are these
So-
apartments, or a combination of 1, 2, and 3?
It's a combination of 1 and 2. It's 6 1-bedrooms and 16 2-bedrooms.
Yeah.
And just to your point, I know I've talked to a bunch of guys in the area who have either proposed doing developments or thought about doing developments. The cost to build here is the same as the cost to build in Chicago.
Right.
Except in Chicago, you can charge 50% more for rent. And
Right.
so the math on these builds is tough to make. I had to go back and forth with working with Tracy for a couple months, manipulating my spreadsheet to make it work.
To make it work, yeah, that's right, yeah.
You having any luck with lining up contractors?
So we would act as the general. I have a local general that I work with, and then I've been a general contractor for 15 years, so this is not my first rodeo.
We had a fella that bought a building on Simmons Street that was a general contractor. How many units did he want to put in there? 48 or something?
We don't need to compare Willie to Steve.
I would like to note that I've built everything I came before you guys and proposed.
Oh, well, there you go. At least you finished what you're speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally speaking, I think it's a good idea. We could always use housing.
So you'll have preliminary sketches of what this unit's gonna look like?
Yeah. So I'll have some renderings and some preliminary
Sure.
floor plans for you guys for the next meeting, assuming that nobody throws
Well, you
up
got
in their mouth.
a list of what you have to have, what he has to have, right, for everything, so he knows what you have to have, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone through it before with his other
Yeah,
businesses.
so you
He
know what
knows.
the hell you need.
It sounds like you have everything but parking.
Parking is,
I mean, who drives a half a car? You can't say you got 1.5 parking places. I mean,
it's true, but some people only have, like the one bedrooms will have one car for those, and some people will have 2 cars, and some people may have to park on the street if they have too many, or people are sharing cars, We can only provide what we can provide.
Right.
yeah, because I come from downstate, and they Bigfoot every piece of postage stamp property that you can barely have a foot around the perimeter, and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that here.
Sure.
I want to be ample parking and rooms, no matter how bad we need housing. I mean, it has to be within reason,
Yeah, no, I get it, and and they're good sized apartments, 875 square foot, 2 bedrooms, and just under 600 on 1 bedrooms. Those are still preliminary sizes, but from what we've drawn so far, that works.
Did that building?
$800-900 a month, probably.
A little bit more than that.
Probably more than that, eh? I know the boy the grandson just bought a house 2 days ago, $290,000. I can't believe that houses are priced like that.
We're old, Roger.
They're-
Really, does the lot go all the way back to,
Golly.
I don't know the road in back of it,
Short.
short?
This is like short, yeah.
Yeah, so this, I believe, this is the
That's the apartments.
Hillcrest. Yeah. I don't know why this imagery is so
It's
old
an
on
old
the.
picture, real.
Yeah, you'd think that the internet would have that more up to date, but yeah, this is where the Hillcrest apartments are.
Yeah. Well, didn't that fella from, what was his name, Marco, from Now, didn't he have plans to build out there too, a couple of years back? Where Now Lumber, or Olson's Lumber?
Olson Lumber,
That-
that was Joe Hollander.
Yeah, that never,
And that was connected with our housing department, and that
Oh.
fell through
Oh, okay.
early on. I've got a question. Are you looking for some state funding or other kinds of financial initiatives in order to build this? Because you did mention that it was for between 80 and 120 for workforce housing.
Sure. Yeah, I have been talking to Tracy about potentially getting some assistance. Because there is a gap, right?
The building right next to
Like the kid when
Ed Kriskowitz, has that been sold at all, that one
Divide.
on the other side there?
my
Not to my
grandson was
knowledge.
trying to buy a
That would be a possibility where you could possibly have a chance to maybe get that and use it to demolish that for a parking lot.
today.
Yeah, there is actually a lot across the street owned by the plumbing company there.
Oh,
Well,
like Hogan's?
Hogan's.
Oh, right here? At
Yeah.
on the north?
Yeah.
south side.
But
I think it's a good idea. We definitely need housing. We're a little short of housing here, so
our garage.
Every time I.
just curious to see,
Same thing.
what everything's gonna look like.
Cool.
So,
I appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got some work to do then.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, just go ahead and do what you gotta do. We'll be here.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, moving along, public hearing, we have none. Public comment, is there anyone in the audience that has any comments on?
Good comments, only good comments.
Oh, it's all good, yeah. So I just wanted to reiterate that Mark and I have been working with Willie on this housing development for,
Can we get your name, please?
oh, I'm sorry, Tracy Davis, I'm with Housing North.
Uh-huh.
And So Housing North had a recent housing needs assessment that just came out in July. I presented a night or two ago to City Council the results of that. And in terms of new rental units, just in the city alone, we need 278 new units. So this housing development that Willie's talking about would, start to make inroads into that number. And Roger, I know at a prior meeting, you had asked about any of the other developments that have come up before. So that number that we're saying we need includes anything we've already considered, anything that may have put in a building permit or an application or anything like that. So that's the number that we're looking for rental units just in the city. And then I know that Willie mentioned the 80 to 120 AMI, and that's what he's looking for, that workforce housing. But to just put that kind of in a frame of reference, for us here in the city, that means $42,400 to $63,600 income for just a one-person household. So that kind of, you can kind of hear that range that he's talking about.
What would $16 an hour get you for, 2,040 hours in a year?
Oh my God, now you're gonna make me do math
32,000?
without a calculator?
Roughly $32,000?
34,000, Mark.
34,000,
Whispering
yeah.
over
That
here.
would be like, no, I'm just figuring you're working at Burger Chef, or Burger King, $60 an hour, you're making $36,000.
Well, if you have a roommate, a
Yeah,
spouse,
that's-
then, you can get to that level pretty
Exactly,
easily
exactly.
for that AMI.
Exactly.
So the other thing, he did mention that we're exploring some housing tools. As you may be aware, there were a number of new tools that came out probably December of last year. Recently, another Brownfield TIF tool specifically for housing, looking to stay 120 AMI and below. So we're going to continue to explore that. We just wanted to hear what you had to say before we started to go down any of those further roads. So
Right.
Housing North highly supports that, and we're thrilled that you were able to consider this discussion today, and hope that, we can come before you and present some great things in the future, and support on that.
Thank you.
Okay, before you leave, now, since you are involved in this, now the gentleman, if you don't mind my asking, can I ask, Mark? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Hotel Northern, right here?
Yes.
The gentleman, well, that's been about 3 years, haven't they, before us?
2 years.
2 years.
Or two, now, see, what's the problem there?
So,
They had a big plan.
well, we have met with them, and I think Mark will maybe be able to
Oh.
talk to that, but, Willie, you heard Willie talk about that gap that exists between what people can charge and what they're able to, the prices they build at.
Right.
And that's been some of the issues with Hotel Northern. But
Oh.
I'll let Mark address that, because he
Oh.
has met with them much longer than I have.
Okay, I mean, there was, we have projects that people have come and asked for, but then they stop, and I was just wondering if it's our problem or a finance problem, or,
No, what I think you'll see with the new Brownfield TIF in particular is it's going to open up a lot of different opportunities and make it so that it becomes reasonable and developers can, cross the finish line.
yeah, okay.
Also, that's a renovation, that's a restoration of a historic building, so the cost of that is a lot more than just a stick-built new building.
Yes.
Probably a third more, at least, maybe even higher. And that's part of the problem, that he's looking
that
for,
would be, yeah.
special funding for historical.
Yeah, this gentleman has an empty piece of property, and that one, yeah, exactly. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, Mark Miller, Director of Economic Development, 400 River Street, working for the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also representing the Manistee Downtown Development Authority as the staff lead. So that's the official stuff. So I will get to questions in just a second, but let me, for the purpose of the point that I rise, is that, as has been stated, the Chamber, the DDA, has been working with Housing North with Willie McKenzie, Mr. McKenzie, on a housing project. We are very pleased that he's come forward and is proposing a project. Still needs to be defined, as he pointed out. The thing, though, is that we absolutely need to have more housing from the business sector point of view. Businesses are struggling to retain staff, to attract staff, and to be able to keep hours that are fair and open and reasonable for everybody. Cannot tell you how many times we get hit up on, well, this restaurant's not open, this coffee shop's not open.
Yeah.
And the problems there are systemic. Housing is one of our biggest concerns, right? If we want to peel the layers off the onion, we've got to look at childcare. We've got to look at other factors as well. And but housing is the thing that's keeping us from growing. And all of those new businesses, and I've had a little bit of a hand in this. I know over the last 18 months or so, we've created 146 new jobs. These people have to live somewhere, and we are having a very difficult time attracting Myotech, Amptech out there in the business park, high-tech, high manufacturing jobs that we're all desiring. Very difficult for them to attract people. Oftentimes, you get a job offer, you look around for a house, can't find it, you turn down the job offer. The medical field is doing the same thing. Can't get people to work out at the hospital. It's very difficult to find people. So the housing question is super important. The chamber and the business community is very much focused on this. And in addition to Willie, we have other projects that are coming forward or moving forward at different paces, and we are working very hard on that. We ask for your support within the bounds of the ordinances. So if you give Willie the okay, please let him do as much as he can. 22 units is allowable, let's get it done. So it's very imperative from our perspective, because if we want our community, our county to continue to grow and support the things that we love here, we have to have that housing. To Roger's question on the Northern Hotel, I actually have been in contact with him today. He called me today. And as Mick pointed, you mind if I just use first names? Is that okay? As Mick pointed out, the construction piece on a historic building has been extremely difficult and costly. And so he had a budget of about $4 million to start with, and the cost came in at over $6 million.
Oh, yeah.
And so he has been whittling that back and trying to find that. We have been working with him, the chamber has, on trying to find ways to make that work. And he's still not done pursuing all of the different financing assistance. But in order to close that gap, he's had to do a lot of things. So he tells me today, I asked him for, this is probably breaking news, but the timeline he said is that they're still hoping to start this fall. This winter, even. So, I mean, he is pushing for that. He's going to be asking for help from the state, from the city. And so we've already been through some of the motions there with the city side of things. And so I expect him to be in the news in the coming months. And I expect that if we can piece this all together, he'll probably start to do the renovations and start working on things, certainly by 2024. There's a lot to be said, though, because we are talking about historic preservation tax credits in order to help fund pieces of this. And that is a long, complicated process that often takes about 18 months to get. So he's pushing as far as he can. That is probably that. Are there any other questions? If I'm here in public comment, might as well answer questions, right?
So now, if I'm not mistaken, unless it wasn't the Hotel Northern going to be market rate?
Market rate, 13 units,
Also,
1 and 2 bedrooms.
oh, there were going to be 2, okay.
Yeah, he's got a mix in there. Now, I don't want to speak for him, but there could be changes in terms of making things affordable that he may have to do something different, but the last I heard it was 13 and we were looking to mix.
Okay. And on the housing with, for the missing middle or the workforce housing, is that still based on 30% of gross income?
Yes.
Yeah.
So rents between 12,000 and a year, or 12, yeah, around 12,000 a year, or 19,200 a year, so.
So, the rental limits, depending on the size of your household, for example, up to 120, AMI would be 1,590.
50, okay.
And we've been sharing those with Mr. McKenzie.
Tracy's magic spreadsheet's been
Yeah.
shared. Yeah.
If I could, Marco? Are you involved, well, whatever, isn't there a project going in Parkdale that's
Yes.
bringing in some housing?
But we both have been.
Are you both involved in that too, or are you just for the city? Like, Mark, are you with the Parkdale too, county, or are you just the city?
So the chamber has an economic development program that encompasses the whole county.
Okay,
So the county pays, as well as the city and the private sector all pay for the program.
okay.
And so I work throughout the
The
county.
county, okay.
Same situation with Tracy in Housing North. County pays in, the city pays in, and she has other funders that help pay for her program.
Okay.
And we work very closely together, meet every week, and work through all these different ones. It's just a matter of, okay, you take this one, and
Yeah,
I take that one, and
Right.
we divide it up depending on our scope and our lanes. So Parkdale is moving forward. One of the things that we were able to do is work with the Manistee County Land Bank
okay, yeah,
in order to secure well over $500,000 in state grant money from the state land bank to help demolish the building, take care of environmental issues like asbestos and lead. And that actually helped close the housing gap we were talking about with Willie.
Sure.
That 500,000 plus another property tax abatement layered on top of that is what helped close the gap so that they can move forward. I anticipate that the county land bank will take possession and start to do their work on demolishing in the fall, and then start to move forward.
Okay.
Township approved on August 3rd. We actually split our time between your meeting. I came here for the Gateway, and then she went to that meeting for that. We also sent Bob Nash, VP of Myotech, Amptech out here. He represented the chamber and presented a sign-on letter with 13 businesses, our major employers. That all was done in coordination because we needed to be in different places, but these were both very important projects. So
right.
approved abatement out there for 140 units, but there's going to be 288 eventually,
Units out in that Parkdale,
all market rate.
right. And then right next door, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hearing rumors Culver's are building.
Foundation is in today.
I mean, you had tractors and everything, so it's everybody's smiling, so I guess. Okay, now my next one is you both deal with housing and developments. Now, do you deal with the existing buildings? Because my biggest gripe is the old hospital, and it's sitting up there forever empty, and I think it could be turned into housing.
So I have been dealing with that one, Roger.
Okay.
Like I said, we divide and conquer because, listen, I mean, to be honest with you, what we need in a rural county like Manistee County is more capacity. You need more of that, and you need more of the two of us. And so we divide and conquer. My understanding is I've been working with a developer on that particular property, which was under their site control for a short period of time. They were going to do the proposal, at least as I understood it, was to go after MISHDA LIHTC money and do a moderate to low income project, which would have been perfect because we need all kinds of housing, and Tracy can point out all the numbers. But is my understanding that they lost important key staff and had other factors to consider with dealing with the city of Manistee that they pulled out of that project. So it is now available for something, and I don't have an answer for what that is. But if we can find a developer that would take interest in that, and then try to move forward, I think we'll continue to work on trying to find that.
Yeah, I wish it would. I hate to see it sitting empty.
We had somebody who was interested in it for about 9 months or so.
Well, I thought when they were talking back here a few months, well, I don't know if you guys remember where Peanut Butter Hill, they were gonna clear those people out. I thought they could maybe put them in that hospital and then clear out what they wanna do with the housing and build what they wanted. You know, but I guess, I mean, that all fell through. By Reeds Park, the Reeds Park development, I guess was, that was an old housing developer.
Right. So we're going to define another lane here. Tracy and I both work on housing, but we don't do the work of the Housing Commission. That's over there. And so, you know, that's the kind of project that would go
Yeah, over there.
because they need to do that. That is also part of the complication with the hospital, Roger, is that the same developer who had been working with the Housing Commission was going to be the developer on the hospital.
I see.
Separately, away from the Housing Commission, but
sure,
I
sure.
think all of the things going on, they just decided it wasn't worth their time.
Yeah, understood, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
That's
you.
like that lot that the old Civic Club used to be in, and then the people that had the drug rehab up on the
Yeah,
hospital.
that's the hospital, that's all part of it.
Well, that little building there, it's been sitting empty forever. That would make a great spot for apartments.
We agree, and we'd like to find somebody who would put the millions into making
Yeah.
that happen. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to new business, extension, minor amendment to special permit use, 170 Golczewski Drive.
Yes, so you guys received information in your packet. This is more so an extension request than an amendment, but I felt that because the glass or windowed ceilings was not necessarily addressed, might as well address that and loop it in so that if anyone in the future has that question, we have it, you know, if that is approved, we have that identified as probably like a stipulation in the permit. But we do have Ryan here, and he had a small presentation for you guys just to go over some of the progress that they've undertaken there.
Okay.
And so I'll leave it to him, and then back to you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Just like a supplemental, it's really just updated pictures so you can see.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Name,
Ryan
address.
Fitzsimmons. Anything else you need?
Address.
Address? What is my, 3924 Chippewa Highway.
Thank you.
So really, it's just supplemental from the first presentation, just some updated pictures. So there's some older photos and for comparison. Oops, did I do it right?
Is that not working? Maybe it won't work. I'll scroll for you.
Thanks.
Yes.
Just site map, so we're all on the same page in the light industrial district, just shy of 4 acres. The pictures of the old building and its use are like the next 5, and then I think there's like 14 pictures of the new. It's not much of a
You want me to just kind of
presentation, but
float
yeah,
through
that'd
'em?
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, update. Sorry, I'm not trying to make you
No,
feel like you
no,
need to
that's
do
good, that's
more.
good.
Yes, nice little visual update for you guys.
So yeah, the building has gone under quite an overhaul, as you'll see, where we've eliminated all the overhead doors, added a diesel generator in the back, redone the parking, and then most of the work has gone to the interior, which you'll see
Oh,
in
the
a
parking
picture or
lot's
two.
looking very good.
So if you saw what it was before, so there's 5 different rooms where cannabis will be grown, secured storage, place to dry, and all the HVAC equipment is actually in the basement in order to create separate microclimates and to have some of that equipment protected. And so not too exciting. This was as of this morning, and so to help on timeline, we're 2 weeks out from having the electricians finish their work as far as hanging lights, and then we've got fertigation guys coming in over the next 2 weeks, and then odor control finalizes their installation of that unit. We're hoping by the end of the month, but they said it might have to be early October, and then we'll call for our inspections at that point, because the work will be completed. So we're pretty close. We're within weeks after a couple of years.
So this is a grow facility you're showing us?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what the hell what? Oh,
Oh, yeah,
I was wondering what you were asking for. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an extension on the timeline. We had planned an aggressive stages
Okay.
of development of the site. And my partners and I also have other cultivation facilities across the state. And because of significant delays of various types, that kind of spelled out in a little bit of detail anyway in the updated narrative letter. But anyway, we won't quite be using that space in the same timeline that we originally put. So to
So
be
you're
fair,
asking for an extension?
Yes.
yes, exactly. Yep. So an
Yes.
extension from the original SCP that we had, and then the difference would be kind of following commercial agricultural practices. So on our sites across the state, any new space that we're building, we're utilizing glass or greenhouse in some way to utilize natural light. So we're reducing the amount of inputs we have.
Yeah, that's a costly thing, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's for us.
How many plants you planning growing in there?
About 2,500.
2,500, yeah, yeah. That's an investment.
Brian,
You're looking-
I just have a question.
Yeah.
When you were dealing with the greenhouse roof, was there a comparison between that and solar panels? And what would be more beneficial as far as economics?
Yeah, we kind of let, I guess on an we started to pay close attention with just commercial agricultural practices in general, and they kind of provided us with that data that says this is the most efficient way. In the long run, if we were ever to open state borders and things like that, Michigan would be at a disadvantage, on a grand scale, if you're 20,000 plants or any sort of significant commercial agriculture. If you're not utilizing sunlight, your cost to produce will just be, pretty much higher than many other.
The only reason why I say it is that with solar and battery backups, then you would have a little bit, potentially more light in more times. That's why I would just wonder if there was an economic advantage or disadvantage one over the other.
And I think we shied away from solar because I think Michigan's had 180 days of really good sunlight in comparison
Well,
to if we were going to put it somewhere else in another 300 plus and
You have
things
to
like
be
that.
able to
So
control it, that's the problem. It's hard to control the solar, where,
yeah.
like you say, for light so many hours and darkness so many, but that's another story. Thank you.
Yeah, and then any questions you guys had? It wasn't much of a supplemental presentation, but.
Bob, you have anything?
I had no issues.
No questions? All right.
Well, it is already approved, you're just asking for an extension of
To get to work.
the timeline,
Yes, because
because of lack of whatever.
the permit was issued in January of '21, so the use would have had to commence or substantial construction shown pursuing diligently to completion. Ryan had contacted me early in the year, and I had let him know that we went and did a site visit, that, that does appear that you guys are doing construction diligently to completion, but you should come back for an extension to make sure that you cover yourselves without initiating the use at that time. And then we had talked about the phasing, and I had noted that he had these designated dates for phasing, but if the commission was open to it, maybe not approving, and that's what he presented tonight, is a plan with those phases still on there, but no dates associated with them, so that if the commission felt comfortable with approving an extension tonight, maybe not approving, something without a deadline, but approving that he must come before you before initiating the next phase and not tying dates to those phases. So I see that this went to spring of 2024 with the idea that the use would have commenced this year. I'm not sure what a comfortable time frame for you is, or what you'd like to request of the commission for a final deadline to have all of this built out. And then ultimately, as always, if you're showing progress and you're not meeting that deadline, there's always the opportunity to come before the commission again for an extension, and they could grant that if they feel it's appropriate. So I don't know what kind of deadline you guys would want to entertain. It sounds like
Whatever
the
it
use will
takes.
be commencing soon. But for ultimate build out, I think that we should still have some kind of defined timeline. And then ultimately, if you don't build all phases, the development stands on its own. I think that it'd be nice to just come back to the commission and kind of say, well, I guess you could always tell the zoning administrator too, that we're done. After this phase, the permit will be closed out.
Do you have a recommendation, Katie, on what you would suggest as far as
For a timeline?
a final?
I mean, it
Close
looks
update?
like you guys had given him about 4 years initially, all of 21, 22, 23, and then spring of 24.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I probably wouldn't go beyond 4 or 5 years. You know, like I said, he can always come back for an extension, but it does seem that the phasing of this development, you know, could
take some
span
time,
a couple of years here.
2 years, it would
And then he could always come
easier
back.
to go 2 years rather than such a long time.
Yeah.
frame.
Well, whatever he needs, how do we know what time frame we need for him to develop the project?
Well,
But
we
we
want
want an
to,
extension, then he could come back if he's making due diligence.
Oh, yes, he
Right.
could come back, yes, he could come
So
back.
as it lies now, you have a year left on this permit?
No,
Not
this
quite.
permit has expired. So if you were to grant approval tonight for an additional 2 years, it would be from tonight. The
Okay.
2 years would start.
2 years from tonight.
And what has been the delay? Financial?
No, it's mostly been material, especially when it comes to just building materials or raw materials or
It's the conflict.
certain cannabis and commercial agricultural equipment has been in a really
Combination
hand.
of things, and I probably couldn't put your finger on one of them.
Yeah.
well,
We had to rely on a lot of overseas things where initially we just planned on being able to source it within
Sure.
the U.S.
Sure.
it's,
Yeah,
the
we-
supply chain is stretched and we ran into it also at the boat company that, you know, your timeframes
Yeah.
are just pushed way out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, gel coat, 8-9 weeks, when it used to be 30 days.
Yeah, yeah. We had the LED lights in port for 6 months before they were even seen, and
Yeah,
we had
right.
paid in full
And
then
that's-
a year in advance, and
Reality of today's world.
yeah, yeah.
And I will add that the site plan review committee had no issue with the glass ceilings. The one comment that the fire department had was that he wanted to ensure that whatever material is used is rated for that purpose. So,
Well, that's good.
with your guys'
Approval.
blessing, I can include that one comment from the fire department as a stipulation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Under the original, I was wondering why you didn't go with glass.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a couple years back,
Yeah.
glass.
Well, everything, all technology's changing though, Marco. Growing these growth.
Oh, I know, it's, every day changes.
And we're still
That's
asleep.
a hell of a piece of change.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
I'd
like to
entertain
take a-
that motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a 2-year extension to the special use permit, allow for a glass roof that meets the fire rated codes for 170 Gloucevsky Drive.
Okay. Second?
I'll second that.
Second with Roger. Any further discussion? None? Thank you.
Thank you.
Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Samansky,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Commissioner Yoder,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes.
Sir, could I ask you a question? You say it's a grow facility, is it for a local dispensary?
Well,
Or can't you say?
I'm one of the owners of a Mets Cafe, and so I have about 4 to 5 partners in cannabis, and between us, we own about 12 cannabis businesses.
Oh, okay.
So I have
Other,
4
yeah.
partners in this
Well, yeah.
venture, two of which are partners with me in Mets Cafe.
Okay. All right, yeah, 2,500 plants. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark, it's 8 o'clock, I know.
I know, you know,
Okay. All right.
8:20.
8,
You still got
I know,
20.
Mark. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Old business, we have none. Public comments, communication. Anyone like to, has a comment on what happened today or anything? None? Okay, move along to staff reports, issued permits and business registrations for 2023.
Yes, so if you guys have any questions, this list, I've just been adding to it, so really at the end is what's new. You guys would have seen everything at the beginning. We have all our business registrations and land use permits. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I really like that. That's a good idea, Katie.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, and you know what? I'm realizing I didn't include HDC this month. I'll make sure, well, if I'm here next month, I'll make sure to include it.
You'll be
for you
here.
guys.
Where are you going?
And then, well, the contract ends, but,
Oh.
and then I did have one other update for you guys. I don't like to leave things on bad news, but I do have an announcement that I feel like you all should hear. Mike Sokola is resigning. So he will be no longer with the department at the end of the month. We are very happy for him with his new endeavors. He took a position with Networks Northwest that will allow for quite a bit of flexibility for him. But we will not have Mike as of September 28th. So I wanted you guys to hear that from us instead of through the grapevine. And I know that we could probably have a whole conversation on that, so I'm sorry to just leave you with that and move on, but that is all I have for staff updates.
Wow. He's going where?
Network North.
So we'll just send.
Isn't that where Carson is? Network Northwest? Go ahead, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay, well, take care of Rob.
All right, well, yeah.
Right.
All his wishes for Mike, if you see him, tell him our wishes.
Yes, I will.
Hopefully works out for him.
Meetings, training attended by members, 2023 training opportunities.
Yeah, if you guys have any meetings and trainings that you'd like me to document from the past month, get it in the log, let me know.
Yeah, okay.
And then other than that, I put in I looked up on the MAPS website, as well as I included, part of an email from Mary Riley that talks about some training opportunities. So I included those for your guys' review. We can go through them, or you guys can just kind of take them home and think about them, and we can talk about it next month.
Whatever the commission would like.
Yeah, whatever the commission would like, yeah.
Okay, you can just.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay.
Come over.
Yes. Go
ahead, Mark.
For member discussion, start with Roger.
No member.
Welcome back, buddy.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
glad to be
see
back, and, yes, I do have, just so everyone knows, I do have lung cancer, and I will start chemotherapy, I believe it's next week. So, for the next 3 months, if, I'll be dealing with that, and hopefully I'll be able to attend what I can, and, we'll beat this little son of a gun.
Yes, all our prayers are with you, Roger. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it, thank you.
good to have you back.
I'm glad to be
Yes.
back, God darn it, I'm glad to be back.
We missed your levity.
Well, I missed it too. You wouldn't unless it's a head thing. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, we're glad to have you.
Marlene?
I'm, just want to thank the staff for all their hard work through this time and how well you've all managed together to work as a whole. And wherever you go, or if you is that, I wish you all the best of luck. We'll greatly miss you.
Mm-hmm.
And our group here, we all work good together, and it's been a busy year with lots of things going, and everybody handled everything greatly.
Thank you. Bob?
It'd be even sad to miss you at the meetings here, but I'll still see you guys with all that county stuff I keep doing all around. I'll be in there all the time.
Yes.
Giving your receptionist a hard time and Nancy a little bit of a hard time when I'm there.
A little bit?
But I can't
What
give
do you
Mike any
call a
hard time
little
anymore.
bit?
You can.
For the next month.
Yeah.
I'll blame, our buddy up in Traverse City.
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah.
Rob, he's already stolen Zach.
Mick?
Again, I think you guys have done a great job for the city, and
Yeah.
we'll be, sorry to have you go, but best wishes to Mike. I think he'll be doing well in his new occupation, but certainly will be missed here in the.
Yes, we're gonna miss him
the
too.
city.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be another body to be hiring, eh?
And I will
Hiring
not
Chip.
be able to attend the next meeting in October.
Okay.
All right.
Tammy?
I've said before, I'm gonna miss everybody at the planning department. I'm gonna have a few choice words to say to Rob. Next time I see him. I wish things had worked out differently. They do. But yeah, you guys have just been phenomenal to work with, though. you'd made our jobs a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Same to you guys, really.
Well, a couple things. You got a few minutes. The new marijuana retailer at 240 Arthur Street, they have a banner up.
Yes.
Is that within the parameters?
No, I'm going to contact him. That was brought up at city staff as well. You know, they had put up that temporary banner and we work at a complaint basis at the planning department. So I was kind of, I don't want to say giving them leeway, you know, it was something that I had noticed, but it was not brought up to my attention yet, but it was at city staff this week. So they can put up signs, well, where GLNR had signs approved, they're approved for that sign area, but anything outside of that is going to have to come back before the commission. So I will be contacting them first thing next week to make them aware that that sign needs to come down. You can put something up that meets the dimensions of what was up before. Otherwise, you must come back forward for an amendment.
Now,
So
they'll be able to use a feather sign, right?
for 60 days, they will be able to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see they put a sandwich board sign out all the time.
The sandwich board's okay. That's an exempt sign. I
Right.
mean, I'm okay with that. But the banner itself is not an approved sign, and that will be addressed accordingly.
They wanted a monument sign.
They did, and I haven't heard from them since then because they wanted to call a special meeting. They were really gung-ho on getting it up, and then I kind of haven't heard from them. So I'm going to inquire about that as well.
Okay,
I know they took over the place in Benzie too.
Yeah, we did.
thank you. Just want to congratulate Nancy for 12 years at the planning department.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, my goodness.
12 years? What happened to the, I remember when it was 10. It's already been 2 years since then. Oh my God, now my years are gonna start adding.
That's why you guys are always in my office. How does this work? What did we do here? What did we-
I didn't
What
congratulate
will
you
we
on
do without
LinkedIn,
Nancy?
so, because I wanted to wait.
Pen, yeah.
She has the senior.
Yes.
Yes, Nancy.
Call on us.
You know, I hope the city comes to their senses and works with the county because all of us feel
If it works.
you guys
it's a
have
good
done
thing.
extraordinary work.
Yeah.
You have so much to offer and we've never missed a beat.
You too.
Everything clicks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if everybody would like to call Bill and just, you know, put a bug in his ear, so if you can do that over the next couple days, that would
Sure.
be great.
Well, I don't even see how they can even rationalize thinking of hiring
Well,
someone.
you know, I bug them, but I think as a whole, we should do it.
Sure,
So-
sure. Yeah. Do you have a number? Do you have his number?
City, just
City Hall, eh?
City Hall,
There you go.
2553 or something like
I don't know.
that. With that,
Yours bookie.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Seconded.
And it is 8:09,
Yeah.
11 minutes to kick off.
We made it.